Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough. I think we all need the wiggles and the giggles.
I know. We do.
Oh, I know some days I need them a lot more than other days. So,
Yep.
welcome to another episode of Forbidden Depths. Today we have someone that's super amazing, super amazing. I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself to you.
Hello, I'm Pulsifer Paprocki.
Before we get started with anything else, I want to know where you got that name.
That's a funny story. So I came up with that name I don't know, almost 10 years ago. And I always said that that would be the pen name I would use when I write write a story about my life and don't want to publish all the things with my legal name. So I don't know where I came up with it. It just, that was it. But I'm not sure where it came from.
So it was like one of those just like sporadic ADHD, let me grasp this.
Yep.
And it turned out to be an awesome name.
Dude, thank you.
Here I am. I'm like, man, she's put a lot of thought into this name. Like, this is crazy cool. And then come to find out that's just you. You're just crazy cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, shit just comes through this brain and then comes out.
I do the same thing. So let's kind of talk about what do you consider yourself as in your profession in adult entertainment?
That's such a good question. And I honestly haven't given a lot of thought to it. I don't really like labels, but like if I was going to describe my profession to somebody kind of within the sex work community, I guess I would say I'm a fart and poop performer. I don't really know. I love to take big shits and fart, and I love to entertain people with them. So
yes, and it's very entertaining. If you don't follow her on Twitter, you can hop on over. Now, if you're a little shy to the harsher stuff, it might be a little much for you in the beginning, but it's worth being there, I promise. It's at PULSIFER PAPROCK. So hop on over to Twitter. And speaking of hopping, you did some amazing recent Easter content, right? So tell me the inspiration for that.
Well, I was going thrift store shopping with my best friend, and I always see these other content creators putting out holiday themed stuff, and they get it out like a week in advance. So I was literally in my backyard shitting into Easter eggs the day before Easter, trying to get my stuff together. It I just thought it would be fun. We were out thrifting and I found like some Easter bunny ears and an Easter basket. And I just thought it would be fun. Let's shit in some eggs.
Yeah. So. Fuck yeah. And like with yours, do you ever have like a developed storyline that you're kind of catering to, or is it like spur of the moment, like, oh, I have a great idea, let me go get it down right now?
Usually it's like I'm running around trying not to shit myself because I'm like, how am I going to shit today? Ooh, I'm going to do it into a candle. Or like this morning I just shit. This one was developed. It was a custom request for somebody, but I shit off of a ladder into a bucket of water. And self-splash and everything. So a little of both.
Talent.
Well, thank you.
Because anybody that has ever tried to aim shit like that knows how fucking hard that can be. And like one wrong slip and it's not going anything close to plan.
And yes, and when you're shitting, it's like you don't get to do that twice. That's one take, and if it doesn't work, then I got to try it again tomorrow or the next day or whatever. So usually they're just funny ideas that I think about with my best friend. Some are in advance and some are spur of the
Mhm.
moment.
Okay. Okay. So I've also noticed with your content that you are super, super fit. So what do you do? Like, what kind of workouts do you do? Or like, what do you do to stay in shape?
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
I've been super active my whole life. I have
Mhm.
a lot of mental health. I don't even want to say issues or problems because that just sounds bad, but like depression and anxiety. So
Right.
physical activity has been the thing that helps the most. I used to
Yes.
do weightlifting and some CrossFit, but now it's yoga, just power
Mhm.
yoga.
Okay.
Um, and I love it. Yoga has helped me. It got me through my divorce. It helped me get sober. Like
Mhm.
it's my
And
jam.
yoga is a lot more beneficial than people think. It's not just like only stretching. Like you
Right.
literally tone yourself up and it is amazing experience, right? I can say that I did injure myself doing yoga once. I was doing some pose and it was very straining on my shoulder and it was right about the time I had a fracture and I ended up breaking my shoulder and I was so
Oh,
sad. I was like, who breaks their arm doing yoga?
yeah, I'm actually
Mm.
right now haven't gone to yoga for about 3 weeks because I'm recovering from some sort of neck injury. And I'm like,
Yeah,
but I do lots of handstands in yoga. And
yeah.
so yes, yoga can fuck people up.
Yeah, especially if it's, like, the wrong angle, if you have too much weight, like, too much
Too
pressure.
stressed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Trying to show off.
yeah.
Yeah, that's never a good idea for me.
It always ends kinda badly. It's
Yep.
exciting in the moment. So, tell me about you first getting into being a creator. So, um, I know you kind of fit one of the niche groups. So, you have tailored content that has a specific audience, so it's not going to be for everyone. How did you decide that you wanted to get into that, and was it a hard thing to branch out into?
Great question. Um, so this is a long answer,
Okay, I'm here for
but I'll try to keep it entertaining. So I've
it.
always loved farts and poop.
Hmm.
Like farting, my family grew up farting. My
Yeah,
dad would hike a leg and
like
say,
a joke. Yeah.
barking spider or pull my finger. My mom had the best farts. Like she must have had a super tight little butthole because
Yeah.
she could fart she'd sit up on the kitchen counter. I remember drinking coffee and me and my sisters would be in there and she'd look at us straight in the eye, hike a cheek and just, longest fart. So farts have always been funny to me.
Right.
Um, I've also just always taken big shits and I really like to get a reaction from people. So,
Hmm.
back in the days where we had to get film developed, I'm dating myself. But I would take pictures of my shits and then go take it to Walgreens and get them developed and take the pictures to school and like throw them on high school, like people's lunch tables. So I could have their triangle tater tots if they lost their appetite. So poop has always been fun to me. What got me into the work, I've never been a social media person, but
Hmm.
2022 was like the most traumatic year of my life. I got my
Mm.
toilet paper. I start crying. I had a job that was just like super fucking cool. It was perfect for me. I was really
Hmm.
good at it. I loved it. And I well, let me back up a little bit. Before that, so I lost my mom to breast cancer
Oh, okay.
last March. And not this March, a year ago. And dude, she was my fucking everything. Like
Yeah.
she was so. This is a picture of her on her wedding day, her first wedding day. It's
That is
old, but she.
gorgeous. Super
Thank you.
vintage.
Yeah, it's old.
I love it.
Um, so like that was hard. And then a month after that, I got fired from my job because
Yeah.
whatever. It was completely. I felt unwarranted and like
Right.
total slap in the face. Came out of nowhere and I was just devastated. So, I'm a single mom and
Mhm.
so had to make income. Well, and I didn't set out with sex work to make money.
Right.
I like had a shitty fucking job working in a youth agency that was completely toxic. Like that was my next job and I hated it.
Mhm.
But I just started recording my farts and sending them to friends to just make myself laugh, to just try to find
Right.
little pieces of joy anywhere.
Yeah.
And then somebody told me about Reddit, and I'm like, what the fuck is Reddit? But I
Hmm.
created an account and started just posting tiny fart clips, and people loved it.
Yeah.
So it just kind of grew from there. And I started an OnlyFans. I guess that's where it really started. I thought that
Hmm.
you could post like poop and pee stuff on there.
Oh yeah.
Um, but was so disappointed realizing I couldn't. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, just kind of started doing it because it was fun and funny, and then realized I could make money on it. So in November, I quit my real job and started, not real job, because this is fucking a real job,
Yes. Yes.
but it's fun. You know, it's fun.
Yes.
So I've been doing it full time since then, and I fucking love it, man. Like, I have a
Yeah.
flexible schedule. I have time to go to my
Hmm.
daughter's field trips, to do all, like, I
Yeah.
have fucking control of my life. And I've never
Yeah.
fit the professional role well because I'm different, you know. I'm
100%.
spontaneous, I'm not organized, like I don't fit that professional role. So I
Right.
always felt out of place. And like doing this, I feel very comfortable, and I feel like I found my jam.
Yeah, I fucking love it. I fucking love it. I always get so excited whenever I find someone else that is just so passionate because I mean, there are a reason that we don't work with the typical society, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes I've noticed a lot that models usually have some kind of issue. Well, not just models, but anybody in the adult entertainment world, sometimes has trouble when it comes to figures of authority, because
Mhm.
we don't like to deal with shitty people, people
Mhm.
that are overbearing and pushy or kind of abusive or toxic. We don't get along with those kind of people. We're more like free-hearted and light and flexible, and it's just we don't mesh well with that, right? Like we can do that,
Yeah.
but it's not our happy place, right?
Yes. Well said.
So yeah, that is kind of one of the reasons I completely branched out and started doing all my own shit, because I did have a 9 to 5 kind of like you, and then I had all my other shit on the side, and it was exhausting. I actually left whenever my mom had a heart attack. So I left work. She had a heart attack. She almost died, and I was freaking out. I was like, well, if my mom is dying, I'm definitely not spending the rest of my fucking days in this shithole that I just have like I hated going into work daily. Like I was frumpy and sad, and I didn't want to be there. Like
Yep.
it was exhausting.
Yeah.
It was like it just sucked out all my good vibes, all my good energy. And at the end of the day, whenever I got home, I didn't want to do anything else, because it wasn't like it pushed me into a depression, but it kept me in a depressive episode, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep. I get it. Can I
So,
piggyback off of what I'm, so your mom is okay?
yes.
Good.
So, um, they ended up having to put multiple stents in, and they saved her life. I'm so fucking thankful. She still makes very poor food choices, so I keep hounding her about that. But she's
Yeah.
she's one of those people. She's like, well, if I do die, then I want to eat what I want to eat, and I'm like, well, you don't have to make it go faster.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like stop, be healthy, please.
Mhm.
But
You know, losing, if I just, one more thing, losing my mom was a huge catalyst for me too,
mhm,
because kind of like you said, it changed my perspective on life. And it's like
yes,
I could go any fucking day now. And I think a lot now, like I make my decisions based on when I'm dying, what do I want to, when I'm laying on my deathbed, surrounded by my loved ones, what do
mhm,
I want to be talking about? What memories do I want to have?
yeah,
I want to be telling them about shitting off of ladders and fucking,
yeah,
having a blast, and yeah, not being stuck in an office forced to act like something you're not,
yeah,
you know, 40,
yeah,
50 hours a week. Fuck that shit.
yes. And in all reality, it's like you're building someone else's empire, right? You're not really building yourself. You're just like, a tick
Yep.
on a piece of paper. You're
Yeah.
if you left, they would have somebody else to replace you. Even if it took
Yep.
them a couple of days, whatever, they would have
Mhm.
somebody else to replace you. In this work, you can't have someone else replace you because it's
Mhm.
you. You are the work. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm. I like that.
So it's one of those things. It's like you finding and evolving your brand. And overall, you're what draws people in, right? Like your art is what keeps people coming back.
Yeah.
And if say you worked on phones or some shit and you were talking to people, they could literally switch that over to anybody else and they would give them the same amount of information,
Yep.
whatever. But nobody can do your work. Only you can,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. I love it too. It's like a craft,
Yes.
like,
Yes. Oh my goodness. I fucking love it. I fucking love it. So tell me about, I know you said that you kind of lost your mom and that was super fucking heartbreaking. Of course, that's going to be. Do you have anyone else in your life, whether it's family, friends, anyone outside of the sex work community that kind of knows what you're active in and supports you in your trade?
that's a good question. I have three sisters
Mm.
and they all know about it. They are living vicariously through me. Um,
Oh,
they don't like follow me or watch my content, that
yeah.
is not there. Every once in a while, I'll send them a picture of, well, growing up, I would always shit in massive logs and leave them in the toilet for somebody to find. So, like, I've always fucked with them like that. So they know. My very best girlfriend knows, and she was actually the one that helped me come up with starting it. It was going to be pooping from high places, and I bought that web domain and blah blah. Would not that hasn't happened yet, but anyway, her, um, my ex-husband, my child's dad, actually, we have a real close relationship, and so he is not turned on by poop
Mhm.
content, but I make him watch it sometimes because it's hard having something that I'm so excited about and
Yeah.
not being able to share about it. And I share
Yeah.
about it vaguely, like at jujitsu, I'll be like, yeah, I took a big shit today or sold a shit to so and so, but they don't really know if I'm serious or joking.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I love
so
it.
yeah, small
I love
small group of people know.
it. Good. I found that it's slowly becoming more acceptable. So even like the far taboo stuff is slowly coming more acceptable. And I feel like that's because of some of the older generations that were just like, you don't do that at all. That's not ladylike. You're not
Right.
supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah,
I
they're
feel
all
like,
dying.
yes, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like they're all slowly kicking the bucket, and our generations are like, fuck yeah, man, just be
Bye.
happy.
Yep. Seriously.
So I am all about this movement. I'm all excited for it. I can say that some of them are a little bit confused. So funny story. I had a lot of people in my family that were like super against sex work whenever I got into it, right?
Mhm.
So I started out as a pro dom. I was a lifestyle dom. I went to become a pro dom because I had a friend that was neglected and he was actually ostracized from his family because he had a foot fetish. And I was just like,
Oh,
why the fuck? Who's going to be like, you're not my kid anymore because you like feet? That don't even have
that's
anything to
fucked
do with
up.
those people. So anyway, I came out in the open and I was like, hey, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to love yourself. And I'm just going to live completely openly because to me, I want people to know it's okay to be yourself. Right.
Mhm.
So I started a self-help channel on YouTube and I set out on a mission to help people that were misunderstood because I
I
was always the
love
fucking black
that.
sheep.
Yes.
And I was like, well, other people need to know that it's okay. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where I started out. And my family, the ones that were like super, super against it, they were like telling people lies and shit. Like this was back before I did nude content, right? So I only did fetish work and they were like, oh, well, there's no way she makes that much money and she's not naked on the internet. And I'm like, I'm not. So I pull up my pages and I'm flipping through them showing my grandma, right? And
That's
she's like,
awesome.
she, she's like, I thought you were supposed to be naked. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't look like I'm naked, does it? So she
Fuck it.
couldn't believe that I was selling dominant framed pictures. Yeah, Mama, you can sell pictures of you just telling people, fuck you, do this.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I guess more open to it. And then whenever I went off into the nude world, she was kind of confused about that. But I was trying to explain to her, if I can stay home and I can sell my panties or my socks. Socks was a huge seller for me. Huge, because I'm a sweaty motherfucker. I
Mm-hmm.
work out. I get them good, you know? Yeah, I get them real
Mm-hmm.
good. So I'm trying to explain to her, I can sit at home. People have requests for worn items. I'm making $45 for a pair of panties, $35 for a pair of socks, and I don't even have to leave the house. I
Yep.
don't even have to do anything other than what I regularly do. I just wear some socks. And
Yep.
she's like, you can sell your socks? Yes, I can. And she's like, how do you do that?
That's
So
awesome.
grandma was kind of like, you can really sell socks. How about we figure out how to do that?
Did she ever?
No,
That would have been so
no,
awesome.
she hates socks. She doesn't wear socks.
That's
I'm
how I
pretty
feel about
sure. Go ahead.
how I feel about underwear. Like if people want to buy
Yes.
panties, I charge more because in real life, I don't
Mm,
wear underwear. They feel
same,
icky. I don't fucking like them.
same. And I say the same thing. I usually only wear clothes if I'm being paid. That's what I say. Like, even whenever I'm just doing like my day-to-day shit, I'm usually naked around the house. I've had neighbors complain, and I'll go out and like get my shit off the porch naked and shit. And people are like, and
I
then there's
love
some
it.
people that are like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude. Yeah, that was like when you sent me the Zoom link, I was like, shit, let me put a shirt on. you know? And
I do the
I
same
always
thing.
I wonder what my neighbors think too, because I don't really close the blinds. I'm like you. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
fucking naked shitting in my backyard all the time. And
Yeah.
people are like, what if your neighbors see it? I'm like, you know what? If they see it and they don't like it, they don't have to look.
Yeah.
That's my
Teach them not
fucking
to look next
property.
time.
Yeah. Suck my
That's
fucking dick,
exactly.
motherfucker.
Yeah. 100%. You're going to get me excited.
We need to be friends. We need to meet
I agree.
sometime. We'll talk about that
I
off
agree.
camera.
I agree. We can make some collaborations happen.
Yeah.
You're getting my wheels turning.
Yeah. I'm down.
Love it. I love it. So, looking back at your 9 to 5, I know we talked about you going to work for yourself kind of gave you that flexibility. What else did it bring to your life? So how's it different from a 9 to 5, and what did it bring to your life?
It has brought so much joy
Mm,
um and fun. Like being able to sit and message people about massive dumps or like farts, lighting my farts, just these creative ideas that people come up with. Like it has helped me with my grief from losing
mhm.
my mother so
Yeah.
much. Like it is fun. The thing I probably dislike the most is OnlyFans, just because
Mm.
it's so restrictive. And, I'm like, plus, I don't know where my
You
fucking
can't even use like um regular things like people would jack off with, like a cucumber or carrot. Like that's been like since the fucking dawn of time. People have been using that to jack off. You
fuck
can't even do
yeah.
that.
Dude, I know. What was it that they took down? Oh, I blew a party horn with my ass, farted into it and brrr, and
Yeah.
they motherfucker took that down. I'm like, this, yeah, fuck this shit. But
Yeah, it blows.
um, I forgot what the question was.
So I think we're getting lost in conversation because we're so excited.
Oh, it was like, what else has it brought to me?
Brought to your life. Yeah.
It has just brought me a sense of like, oh, the other thing too is I was raised in a family where that was very traditional. My dad
Hmm.
he worked hard, he made good money. And he's like, you always have to have health insurance. You always have to be saving for your
Right.
retirement plan. Like, super anxious dad. And so
Right.
I felt very burdened and I do have, I have a lot of mental health needs. And
Hmm.
if something's wrong with my body, like I'm going to go get that shit fucking checked out. I
Yeah.
use medical care.
Yeah.
So I've always thought that I had to get that from an employer, and
Right.
like, so not doing that, or, now like learning to get health insurance on the marketplace, it's completely eliminated that fear. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just opened up so many possibilities for life. And I'm so
Yeah.
excited about my future. Whereas before it was like, and I have a lot of education. I have a PhD and 3 master's degrees. Like I did all
Mhm.
of the stuff to try to fit the mold and,
Right.
be what society wants me to be.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
now just knowing that I don't have to, like, possibilities are endless. So
Yeah.
it's changed my life, man.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And I can tell, like kind of how I was talking to you earlier, I can tell through your work, kind of the therapeutic side. So I can see not just like a weight lifted, but the glowing whenever you're filming. Like you just have this fucking glowing aura. So
Aw.
is that something that developed kind of as you got into sex work and it was just kind of like dormant before?
That's a great question. Thank you for saying that. I think I have always been a very like emotive person and
Mhm.
a very deep feeler. Like my happies are very happy and my not
Right,
happies are very not happy. So
right.
I think it's been there. It's
Mhm,
just I've had trouble maybe expressing it. I've
mhm.
always kind of been rebellious and known for like a bad mouth and dirty jokes and
Right.
inappropriate behavior. Um, but finding these fucking communities where it's like that's what they want. It's like
Yeah.
I have a raging heart on all the time. You're like, yeah, this is fucking
Yes.
awesome. So
Yes. Fuck yeah. And I think that's the greatest thing about sex work because there's so many niches. You can literally just be yourself. You don't have to wear a mask. You can be yourself and your community will find you. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's community will find them right away. Sometimes it takes, a while to build up. So
yeah.
that kind of leads me to my next question. Whenever you kind of got started, I know you said you started out on Reddit. Um, how long did it take you to find kind of your fan base?
Honestly, I mean, I'm still like, I'm making enough to get by, but I'm
Mhm.
not making enough to add to my retirement or my
Right.
kids' fucking college fund. Like, I'm not there yet by
Yeah.
any means. But I would say, I think I made like my first Reddit post in maybe the end of May or June last year. And
Hmm.
then whenever I moved to Twitter was when it got better.
Hmm.
Um, But I probably around like August, September, probably about October was when I felt like I was making enough that it could sustain me.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if I answered that, but it took several
Yes.
months and
Yeah.
still, still.
Yeah. Now, there's also anybody that's listening that don't know, whenever you go into a niche, you're a provider for those certain things, right? Some parts of the market are more saturated, like the regular vanilla stuff. There's a like huge saturation for that. So you have to kind of stand out, right?
Mhm.
Whenever it comes to these niches, it's a little bit easier to kind of stand out because you're doing the more taboo stuff, you're doing the more kind of over the top, the less ordinary kind of stuff. So, what do you do to kind of draw in new people? Not just keep the retaining the ones that you have, but to draw in new people. Kind of what's your thought process and what angle do you go at?
Man, I'm not a very strategic person. I
You're
should
just like, this happened, love it or don't.
really, yeah. I mean, but so I'm not exactly answering your question, but what I try to do to differentiate myself from the other
Hmm.
people in this niche, because
Yeah.
like dirty ain't like, if you've noticed, my content is not very sexual. Like I
Hmm.
try to keep it that way because I think someday my daughter is going to find this on the internet, and
Right.
I would feel more comfortable with, and I don't know, just for me personally, it's like I'm not a super sexual person. So
Hmm.
people ask for like the dirty anal or the smearing and more involvement with it, and that's just not my thing. So
Right.
I think I try to brand myself as like fun, positive, joyful,
Hmm.
playful, um, and hopefully like I can make you laugh and come at the same time kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's well received because I'm gonna tell you, I've been following your shit for a while,
No pun
literally.
intended.
And I'm gonna tell you that I literally got all of those vibes off of it. So you're definitely relaying that message. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
So that leads me to my next question for you. What strengths do you feel you possess that make you more successful in your niche?
I take big shits. I have always taken big shits.
Yeah.
That's one. Um, other than that, I think it's really just my love for it, like just that I enjoy it and I thrive. And not that other sex workers don't, because,
Right. Right.
the ladies that I talk to in the community, like they fucking love getting dirty.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's maybe just like I try to be relatable to people. I try to
Mhm.
uplift people. And, like we were talking about beforehand, like we all need that little happy life is fucking tough.
Yeah.
So just trying to provide that
Happy
lightness, the
therapy.
love, the play. Yeah, like
Yeah.
therapeutic fucking porn, man.
Yes. Yes, I fucking love it. And I try to go at that angle with all of my work too, even if it's like the more serious, hardcore stuff. Like if you're my little fucking slut that has to do everything I say, I still embed like deep rooting therapeutic advances because for me, well, it's why I started BDSM in the beginning for myself. It was for me to work through some of the traumas that I had and
Mm-hmm.
make myself feel better. So after I kind of worked through a lot of my own shit and got past a lot of shit, I was like, there are a lot of people out there that don't know how to work through it.
Yes.
And this gives an outlet for that, right? I
Yeah.
fucking love it.
I love that too. And like knowing the shame that a lot of people have, and being able to be like a safe harbor, a safe place for people to come
Yeah.
experience their fetish,
Yeah.
not be judged, and I mean, I love what you said. It gave me goosebumps. Like
Yeah.
a safe space for others to be able to love and accept themselves.
Yes.
I need to dab my armpits.
You sound like me. I'm starting to sweat too. So I think that is the biggest thing for me too. It's a matter of finding a safe space. Like you can't always trust everybody. I'm going to be real. In the real world, you can't always trust everybody. Even with like little small things, because there are some people that are just shitty people. They haven't
Mhm,
healed from their own trauma and they're very negative because of that. But
mhm.
anybody that's listening, please don't let those people control you or kind of how you develop into the person that you're supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, in order to get through whatever you're going through that you need therapy for, it takes just you trying to find a way to be better because these people don't really give a fuck. There's some
Mhm.
people that just don't give a fuck. They could hurt you and not think twice about it, or they could intentionally hurt you just because they have pain themselves. That's like misery loves company, right?
Mhm.
And that's one of those things that I try to do with all of my work. I try to be like, this is going to help you if you want it to help you. But in order for it to do so, you have to have like open communication that is completely honest. You know,
Mhm.
if you're going to a provider and you're like, oh, well, I like this and this, but then you leave out all of this like context that's around it, they can't really help you properly. Right.
Mhm.
And that touches base on one of my biggest pet peeves, people that come to me that don't know what aftercare is. It's so sad because so many people don't know that you don't go into a scene and get the shit beat out of you without talking to this person, and then you just leave while you're fucking beat up and bruised, and there's talking all around it. you
Yeah.
know there's the aftercare, the how did that make you feel, do you want to do that again next time, what could we do better? Did you feel safe? Did you feel comfortable? How are your muscles? Like there's so much that goes on. And it's kind of those behind the scenes moments that a lot of people don't know are there,
Yeah.
right? So, with talking about the behind the scenes kind of moments, tell me how you get in the headspace for a lot of your content. Is there any kind of prepping that you do or any kind of thoughts that you tell yourself?
Um, Not usually. Like, I mean, because it's just something that I've been doing my entire life so
Right.
naturally. I mean,
Yeah.
when I am trying, like, okay, I guess I will say on when people would have like custom requests for storyline stuff,
Mm-hmm.
acting made me feel very silly,
Oh
especially
yeah.
acting sexy. So,
Yeah.
sometimes I have to get my sillies out, or
Yeah.
editing, I have to edit out lots of just silly, silly stuff. Um, I will say, like you were talking about with aftercare, I've
Hmm.
only done a few in-person sessions,
Hmm.
um, like fart sessions mostly. A couple had poop. But like for those, I get super nervous for those because my
Hmm.
most important thing is that they have a good experience and feel
Right.
comfortable. But like you were saying with the aftercare and the talking, to me, it was an incredibly intimate experience,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you're nervous, I'm nervous. How do we, and then talking
Hmm.
again, one I had a second and he's like, okay, this time let's try this. And I didn't answer your question. I went on a rabbit hunt.
Oh, you're doing
Sorry.
good. You're doing good. You're doing good.
Okay.
So whenever I know the majority of your work is online, right? It's not in-person kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So whenever you did the in-person kind of stuff, how did it make you feel different than the online? I know the nerves is one of those
Mhm.
things.
It just, it took a lot more prep work. And because
Mm.
people locally don't know about me, they have to travel to me,
Right.
so they're investing in travel time. Because I don't host at my, I keep
Right.
very private.
Yeah.
They have to buy a hotel room, then they have
Hmm.
to pay me. So like it's a big investment. So
Oh yeah.
I
It's
stress
worth
about it
it
for.
though.
Yes, it is. And one of the things I like to say is when you're on your deathbed, you're going to fucking remember this and it's going to bring a
Yes.
little bit of joy to your heart. It's going to
Yes.
it's going to make you happy. Those experiences make life worth living.
Yes,
Um
100%. Even if it's just like a bucket list thing, like a once in a
exactly.
lifetime kind of thing. Some people like regular sessions, and then some people just have this, I want to do this before I die tick,
Yeah.
right? Either way, it's still one of those things that can bring joy, happiness, and a freedom to your life, right? In that moment, that's where you want to be. That's what you want. And I feel like everybody should get to experience that at least once in a lifetime, right? I think the video feed froze.
Oh, we're
Got you
back.
back. Got you back.
Okay. Can you see me? You can't.
Nope. I can hear you.
Okay. I moved closer to my fuck. How do I turn this on? God damn. Dude, technology has been like one of the most. Okay, there we go. Ah, it's
Shoot.
been one of the most frustrating things about this work is just having to
Mm.
learn
Oh yeah.
technology.
Oh yeah.
So,
And people don't realize how many different things you have to take on whenever you work for yourself like that, right? Because
mhm.
you have to become a photographer, you got to become a videographer, you got to become an editor, you got to become some kind of marketing and sales representative,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
and you got to be able to keep up with all the new stuff that comes in, right? All the new
Yeah.
websites, all the new apps,
Dude,
like,
yes. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm still trying to figure out my system for organization,
mhm.
it's hard.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So we were talking about the bucket list kind of thing. So the sessions that you've had, were they more of like lifestyle experiences? Like, do they do stuff like that regularly, or was it bucket lists that they were checking off?
Good question. It was the first time for both of the guys.
Hmm.
Um, I think one of them wants to make it a more regular thing.
Right.
But yeah, it was a bucket list thing for sure.
Nice. Nice. And I mean, there's no shame in either one. Obviously, it's one of those things that everybody kind of has their own agenda, right? Like some people,
Yep.
whenever they get into sex work, they're just in sex work like 2 to 6 months. And then, they're like, ah, well, it's not for me. But then there's some people that are in sex work for 40 fucking years. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So there's room for everyone in the community.
I agree.
So let's talk about, we were kind of earlier talking about your family's support system. So throughout your childhood or in your teen years, in your early adulthood, did you have any kind of exposure to abuse, whether it was mentally, physically, or emotionally?
Um, that's such a good question. And I don't know. I don't think that nothing that I can remember from my parents. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a lot of behaviors and thoughts that I have that I'm like, man, surely I fucking was abused, but um, not really. I had a really good upbringing, a loving family. We didn't have, my parents divorced, and that was
Mm-hmm.
traumatic to me. But
Right, right.
there was not any abuse or neglect
Yeah.
that I can remember for sure.
And as a kid, I know, so anybody that knows anything about psychology knows that as a child, kids are very egocentric, right? So whenever you have big moments like that and your parents split up or they're having issues, a lot of the time the kid feels like that was because of me. It was because something I did or something I said. And like that's not something that a kid chooses to feel,
Right.
but that's part of how their brain is developing. As you develop, it's having the egocentric kind of mind frame. I know that's kind of how my kids were whenever I left their biological. It was, oh, well, I did something to hurt this relationship,
Hmm.
you know? And obviously that's not the case at all,
Hmm.
with any of it. But that can be very catastrophic for kids. So did it kind of change any outlook or kind of the way you did things whenever that happened in your life?
Huh. I don't think so. Like, it was a very cordial
Hmm.
divorce. My parents, well, until my mom died, like they remained good friends. They were good
Hmm.
co-parents.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah, it was pretty smooth. And I never really felt like it was my fault or had anything to do
Good.
with me.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. Um, Again, I like hearing these things because when it comes to development, we all kind of develop a little different, right? So I know that you were talking about some of the kind of mental health struggles that you have. I had a lot of mental health struggles myself, and that's why I feel like sex work is so accommodating. Because if there's a day where I'm having a bad mental health day and I'm like, I need to take the fucking day off, or the world is going to fall the fuck apart,
Hmm.
I can do that.
Yes.
So is that something that you find to be an advantage too, so that whenever you do have those bad mental health days, you can be like, I need a break for myself. Like mom needs some time.
Absolutely. And, I think it goes with like being the kind of neurodivergent, the ADHD brain too,
Mhm.
is my motivation and energy to work comes and goes, in spurts.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing that's like, I can work for 30 minutes in bed at night. I can, and break it up wherever. I can do it from
Yeah.
wherever. And yeah, like you said, sometimes I need to just take some fucking time off and
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm my own boss. I love it.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Now, being your own boss does have its own difficulties. You take time off,
Hmm.
you don't get paid for that time off.
Yep.
You have to learn how to do all your own taxes and shit, and you have to
Oh
pay
God.
more in taxes.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst part for me, like looking at how much I actually have to pay in. Like,
Yeah. I didn't have to pay much in taxes last year because I still had like I didn't really start doing it full time
right.
until November. So this year,
Yeah.
like, I need to figure out what the fuck I need to be keeping.
Yeah.
There's a lot I need to fucking
Mm.
be thinking about.
Let me tell you, it is ridiculous. Like, I think whenever I looked back at all of my income compared to my overhead and then my other expenses, and then the amount that the platforms take, depending on
Yeah.
which platform you're on, because, you know, it kind of yo-yos depending on the platform. Like there are some platforms that take 50%.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a fucking lot. 40% is a lot.
fuck yeah, it is. I mean, I was fucking livid over 20%, me giving away 20%, because that's a large fucking amount, right?
It is.
And then a lot of these other sites, especially like camming sites. Do you do any cam work? No.
Not yet.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I do like the cam work because it draws people in. I honestly like to use it for fishing. I
What
try to
is
get
cam
people.
work?
So cam work is literally live feeds of you interacting with people. And you can do like, I like Chatterbait. I have my free cams too, and I'm not as active on there. I think I've only streamed like twice on there. But you can even do some camming on like live feeds on OnlyFans and stuff like that, but they're very restrictive. I don't really like OnlyFans. I just kind of
Mhm.
have it because it's huge and there's a lot of people that prefer that.
Yeah.
But so a lot of the campsites take 40 to 50%. And I'm gonna tell you, I was so disappointed when I found that out, because like I made some pretty decent money on Chatterbait. Like there's a lot of people rolling in. It has like this big network already that's already developed. So you can like hop in and do some amazing shit. But every time I cash out and I look at how much that they take, I'm just like, ugh, like I
Mhm.
cringe because it's 50%.
Mhm.
50%. So those days whenever I make like 200, 400, $500, I'm like, man, I really made a fucking grand today, but I didn't
Mhm.
get to keep a grand.
Yeah. That's hard.
And
Yeah.
then I look back at like whenever I've done my taxes, and whenever you do all your figuring up and you look at the overhead cost, you look at maybe if you had to like buy your outfits and you got to offset prices for that and stuff, you end
Mhm.
up only bringing like 30% of your income home.
Mhm.
I was so pissed whenever I looked at the numbers. Everybody's like, oh, you're making bank. And I'm like, tell that to my fucking checkbook.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And especially with fucking inflation, the way it like, I mean,
Yes.
I'm very stressed about money right now. Yeah, people
Hmm.
think it's just, but no, it's not. There's no fucking living large. But honestly, I would rather live a leaner, less income to have the freedom. It's
Hmm.
priceless, but
It's
you still got to live.
the mental health aspect of it is huge, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's
Yeah.
huge because if my mental health isn't good, then the rest of my shit is just going to fall apart. That's how
Yep.
I am. I'm a big
Same.
mental health person, you know?
Yep. Same.
So, um, I was actually talking to several people about, now I don't talk about how much money I make. I think it's very insulting for somebody to be like, how much money do you make? I'm like,
Hmm.
motherfucker, that's something you don't talk about. You
Hmm.
know, one, you don't fuck on my kids, you don't fuck on my money, and you don't fuck on my time. That's my three
Hmm.
rules, right?
Hmm.
So I don't like to talk about that a whole lot, but I can say that over my years of experience, I have found that there's a lot of amateurs that make more money than the professional creators, because the professional creators are just working with these giant companies and the giant companies don't pay a whole lot.
Hmm.
So to be able to take all of your work and kind of become a contractor, that's why OnlyFans and all these other platforms are such huge advantages to anyone in the industry, right? Because it gives you the ability to take control of that. You
Hmm.
don't have to wait for these big companies to like throw you this tiny, tiny bone,
Right.
because I've heard some crazy horror stories, right? Like these people that go to this set, they're supposed to get this one specific scene and it takes forever to get the scene. So they're there working for 12 hours, in these filthy conditions where they're being pissed or shit or whatever the fuck is happening, for 12 hours. Their knees are
Mm.
hurting, their back's hurting, their body's just so stressed out. And by the time they pay for lodging, travel expenses, food, they only end up clearing like $300
Oh gosh.
for a 12-hour day where you are doing all this crazy strenuous stuff. I was like, if that's what being in the pro industry is, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. I would rather be a contractor,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to kill myself and then be exhausted and not really get that much money. I understand using it as like a promotion kind of thing. Like if you want to work with them to kind of get your name out there more, I
Mm-hmm.
understand that aspect, but like right now the money's not really that good
Mm-hmm.
anywhere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess I'm more hesitant to work with a bunch of people because of that, because I feel like the flexibility from doing everything yourself and having your own platforms is much more worth it, right?
Fuck
I like
yeah.
being my own boss, even though my boss is a fucking asshole and I work way too much. But I would
Fuck
rather,
my boss.
yeah, yeah. But I would rather work for myself because I know my limits. I know whenever I can take those days, whenever I need them. And I can accommodate like family scheduling or school
Yes.
activities or whatever else I've got going on. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, throw that out there. So, I know we were talking about how you are extremely beautiful and educated and amazing. Tell me what kind of aspirations you had as a child. Like, what did you want to be?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I wanted to be free. I didn't want anybody to fucking
Mm.
control me or tell me what to do. I mean,
Fuck
there was
yeah.
a period where it was like, I want to be a singer.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. Like I just kind of, I don't know. I don't really think ahead very much. I will
Uh-huh.
say, like, after high school, my heart really
Mm.
was for helping people. So all my
Mhm.
degrees are, humanities or social work or things
Mhm.
like that for helping people. So I knew that
Okay.
was something
And you
something I
ended
wanted.
up being there. That's what you do now.
I know, right? And I
You
do
help
like to,
people.
yes. And I really wish I could talk to my mom about it. I wonder what she
Yeah.
would say because my mom was fucking so against pornography, like
Mhm.
so against it. She raised all of
Yeah.
us girls to like don't have sex without outside of marriage, but also she
Mhm.
was always like our biggest cheerleader and like,
Yeah.
you know, march to the beat of your own drum, da 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 da. And
Mhm.
I don't know.
It sounds like she was a lot for preservation. So it wasn't necessarily that she wanted to like control you and be like, "Oh, don't do this." It was more like, "I don't want to see you get hurt.
Yep.
Save it until you're ready, the right time," kind of,
Right. Because she did have trauma from,
Mhm. Yeah.
growing up and sexual experiences. So totally trying to protect us.
Yeah. And there's definitely no shame in that. I mean, we all want that for our kids, right?
Yeah.
I'm huge on educate, inform, and protect, because I mean, you don't know what the fuck is going on with the world today, right? Oh my goodness. That reminds me, did you see that crazy shit with the Dalai Lama?
No.
So recently there was an interaction with the Dalai Lama and this little boy. He kisses the little boy on the mouth and then he sticks his tongue out and tells the little boy to suck his tongue. Like,
What?
yes. Yeah, yes. And for me, like one of those things, like protecting and preserving innocence is one thing, but I would rather educate and inform so my kids are not in a situation like that where they're feeling awkward, they're feeling pressured, and then they get some kind of abuse.
Yeah.
Like that poor little boy. There's literally live feed on Google. You'll have to watch it after.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're in a meeting and the Dalai Lama is like leaning in and he kisses a little boy on the mouth and then he's like, "I'll suck my tongue," and he sticks his tongue out and I'm just like, how the fuck are you going to do that to a child, for one? And two, what the actual fuck makes you think that that is okay?
Right.
And then these people are trying to like justify it, like, oh, he's just lighthearted playing. He does that all the time. Well, if he does that in fucking person in front of everybody, imagine what he does to these little boys behind doors. Do you know what I mean? I'm not okay. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like so many people hide behind religion. I have found so many things, like kids being abused and associated with religion and shit.
Yeah.
Like, the people that are going to hurt your kids are not the people that are in fucking porn. You know why? Because we have standards, we have ethics, we have
consent.
Yes. Overall, we have the disclosures, we have the experience, we have the aftercare. You know who doesn't have that? Predators in the education system, in the religious system, or any kind of other structure where you're not supposed to question the authority. Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a good point. We have a level playing field.
Yeah. It's respect, right?
Yeah.
And it's also understanding and preserving those kids and their rights. But I have found that there's more abuse related to religion and education than anywhere else that I've seen. And I've worked in both of those fields. I've been in both of those fields. I mean, I grew up with a very religious background. Were you in a religion? Did you have a religious background?
Yes. I fucking got Jesus saved tattooed on my elbow.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, my thing was people just don't know about what goes on behind closed doors when it comes to education and religion because they don't want to know. They turn a blind eye to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they feel like they're not supposed to talk about it. Well, I'm going to tell you, I am going to talk about it because I want to create a safe environment where people don't have to worry about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's my kid or my friend's kid or a stranger's kid, no kid should go through that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So yeah, definitely check out that Dalai Lama shit. That was fucking, oh my goodness. I was so surprised when I seen it at first. And, you know, I didn't know what it was until I'd seen some kind of headline about Cardi B. She's like saying that people should inform their kids and kind of educate their kids. Fuck yeah. I mean, keeping them blind doesn't help them at all. It just leaves them susceptible, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my tidbit. So the religious kind of aspect, how did that play on your desire for your work? Did it like make you hesitant or did it change like your perception?
That's a good question. I feel like a big part of what brings me joy in this work is that I'm like telling the whole world to suck my hard fucking cock. And I love it because I've always been a people pleaser growing up. Same thing with religion. Like, you know, this is this and this. And, you know, I was shit, dude. I used to like lead a Bible study, fucking, you know, so involved. And it's like, there's this impossible standard. And then I think that faith is good. And, you know, like it's not all bad, but, for me, it was, and, so that all those things, those impossible standards that I felt like I had to hold myself to, whether it was parental expectations, society in general, faith, dude, dropping a big fucking deuce on camera and posting it publicly makes me feel so good because it's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. It makes it that much, you know, if it wasn't taboo, I wouldn't enjoy it. Right. Well, I probably would, but not as much.
Right, right. And I think that's part of the defiance for social norms, just because we were condensed and people try to put us in a fucking box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's almost like a high, like you are throwing away all of these fucking societal norms and you're being like
fuck you. I'm going to be happy. This is part of who I am. And I'm going to be over here living my life while you're over here, moping and moaning.
Yeah. Suck it, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, I know the majority of your content is kind of focused around toilet activities. Do you have any abnormal kinks or like different things that you like that's not toilet related?
That's a good question. I have some exploring to do. I haven't tried a lot. I really want to try, like, I don't even know the right language to say, but like you were saying, the Dom stuff. I think that and something that turns me on incredibly is the thought of not having control. Like, I want to be dominated. I think that's fucking hot as hell. But I don't think there's really anything else that I've experienced yet.
Okay. So the great thing about that, like kind of starting from the bottom of BDSM, is that the sky's not the limit, right? Like there's so much more that you can do, because like essentially whenever you think about BDSM, people think about, oh, you're just going to be tied up and spanked. That's not all domination is. Like, I'm going to tell you, when it comes to domination, I'm going to say the biggest in my top 5, oh man, these change just because whenever I'm in one mind state, it's like, that's super hot as fuck. That's what's like getting me where I need to be right now. But I'm going to say that one of those kinks that kind of stays consistent across the board is smothering, right? Breath play.
Ooh.
Let me tell you. You want to experience it at some point in your life. There is nothing like the power of breath play and that power exchange.
Wow.
So yeah, you'll want to get into it. Especially, it kind of ties into some of the stuff you already do, right? Because a lot of your stuff is featured around your thighs and your hips, and that's all encompassing. Like, I love it. Plus, I'm an ass kind of person.
Fuck yeah, me too.
Yes.
I love ass. Yeah.
That's fine.
Ooh, I thought of something that I would like to try. Like ball busting or just slapping the fuck out of a man. Like, I would love to do that. Like, let me fucking step on your balls, take a shot of whiskey, and I'm going to slap you in the face. That would be fun.
Now I got to tell you this story. So I do touring for my sessions, and I have a consistent sub in Texas. Every time I'm there, we usually have a session that's between 4 and 6 hours at least. I think the most time we spent together was around 8 hours. So our very first session together, whenever he was my baby sub, he knew that I was into fitness and that I was strong, but he didn't understand what kind of power I packed. So he's like on his knees in front of me, and he's like, I want you to slap the shit out of me, like as hard as you can. And I'm like, do you know what you're asking? So, first I give him this light tap, right? I'm just like, and he's like, that was so good, goddess. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. So I was like, prepare for impact. Right about that time, I fucking pull back and I smack the shit out of him. And listen, he's like, now, of course, anybody that's listening that don't know, there was full disclosures before. We completely talked about it. We talked about his limits. We did aftercare, like the whole shebang. This wasn't, I beat the shit out of him and then just left him on the floor. So rewind a little bit. Back to, he's waiting for me to smack. I smack the shit out of him and he falls to the floor and then he pops back up and he's like, and he's like, um, like it took him a minute to gather himself and he's like, can we please do that again?
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, yes, we can. And
Oh
then
my God, where do I find those guys?
he's very, very much into having the shit beat out of him. And I mean, not everyone is that harsh, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But humiliation, degradation is huge for him. I actually have he's been featured on, I'm pretty sure I put some stuff up on my OnlyFans and my Pornhub, and I think there might have been another one. But anyway, after, whenever, I always do this, let me check on them later too. So later that day I messaged him and I was like, did you use lotion? Make sure, you know, your face is okay. Make sure you massage your muscles, because we don't want, you know, severe bruising or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm checking on him and he's like, I did not know you were that strong. He's like, I knew you were strong, but I did not know you were that strong. And I was like, don't ask for something that you don't fucking want.
Yes, I fucking love it.
Because I have a heavy hand. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I can have a light hand too, but if you want the shit beat out of you, I'm your fucking Dom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those things where consistency really helps too. Like, he served me for a really long time. And I feel like with each session, the knowing the ins and the outs, getting comfortable, kind of the chemistry, it gets better with time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always like those long-term commitments because it lets me know you more, it lets you know me more, and the compatibility just continues to grow.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I was curious about your sessions, kind of if you had the extended or if it was like bucket list kind of stuff. And I was going to ask you about the multiple sessions, because through my experience, I found that, well, it's kind of like whenever you have sex with someone. The first time it's kind of, yeah, it can be hot and heavy and you can like it, but you don't really know their body. They don't really know your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the more you do it, the more kind of, I guess, the exposure you have and you're comfortable, the more pleasure you can get.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
It's
how
more
I feel about it.
intuitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, I'm huge into that. So whenever you're looking at your performing, are there any kind of like safety measures that you take for your health? Because I know with toilet stuff, there's a lot of like, I guess, negative perceptions when it comes to play.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of like safety measures do you take to make sure you stay healthy?
That's a really good question. I just simply don't do things if it's not healthy for me. Like people request diarrhea videos all the time, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have diarrhea ever. And I'm sure as fuck not gonna give myself diarrhea for $100, you know?
Yeah, fuck no.
Yeah. So like I will like, so I'm shipping off a turd to this guy soon and he wants it to have corn in it. So like I'll accommodate things like that. Like, fuck yeah, I'll eat a can of corn. But if people want me to like, you know, I did do my first enema with water, you know, and that was great. But like people have asked me to do other things that I just don't know if it's safe or not. So I don't, people have also asked me, can you hold in your poop for 3 days? So it'll be really big and hard, make yourself constipated. And I'm like, no, I'm not fucking going to. I'm going to eat a healthy diet. I'm going to shit when my body tells me. You know, like I did a desperation custom. People like that desperation. And I usually am desperate to fucking go. Like I'm running around. And actually on the Easter Bunny one, I had to shit so bad that by the time I started filming, I already had a little fucking milk dud in my underwear, you know, like it just, but, so I just have really strong boundaries with like, well, and another thing, you know, I just don't like things going in my butt. I've never really
Mm-hmm.
experienced that. Like I'll do a butt plug or stick my dildo in there gently, but
Right.
I don't know, I don't hurt myself.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, I know that I had a recent interaction with a submissive that's like, can you please dehydrate yourself so that, the next morning you have like this very potent, very yellow urine? And I'm like, no. And they're
Yep.
like, well, it's not really that big a deal. And I'm like, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
I'm not going to dehydrate my body or do something negative to my body just because you want this second of pleasure. Like I'm not going to sacrifice my health because you have a kink or a fetish or something that you want catered to. I was like, maybe there is somebody out there that'll do that, but I'm not that somebody because this is my temple, motherfucker.
Yeah.
This is my
Yeah.
temple. So have you ever had requests like that? Did someone ask for like piss content or something and want you to be dehydrated so that it was very dark urine?
Nobody's asked me to dehydrate. No, usually it's just like the diarrhea or
Yeah. And diarrhea is fucking huge, which seems kind of crazy to me.
You know what's funny though? I got food poisoning of like a month ago maybe. And God, I fucking was out, puking in the trash can while shitting in the toilet. And one of my friends who's also a creator, she's like, God, that would have been great content. And part of me really wishes I would have recorded it. But
yeah,
dude, when you're in that moment, it was like, I thought I was gonna.
And like you're vulnerable at that time.
Yes.
Like your body feels and looks icky and you're like feeling like deathish.
Yes.
And I'm not okay inviting someone into that world because that's extreme kind of pain and trauma for me.
Yeah.
Because I have an autoimmune disorder. So if I eat certain shit, I have like, it looks like I have severe food poisoning, just like you're describing.
Oh.
And like I can't eat red meats. I can't eat like artificial stuff, like packaged stuff, or I will literally look like I'm fucking food poisoned. Like, whenever you're food poisoned and it's so fucking bad that you're like lightheaded and you almost black out. Like I do that shit from food. And people are like, that would be perfect for you to film. And I'm like, I'm not okay filming that.
That's exploitation, I feel like,
Yeah. I'm not okay doing that because like, I don't know. It's not just that like I feel vulnerable in that moment. It's a matter of I don't have time to worry about you getting off whenever I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I try to make sure to mentally that like I don't do anything that I'm going to feel negatively about.
Right.
Because I don't want it to turn this beautiful, fun thing into something that is damaging or traumatizing to me.
Yeah.
And it's like I have to keep it, do not cross that fucking line. Otherwise, I feel like I lose some of my power, some of my, I don't know, like it loses the spirit.
Because then it becomes like a chore. Then it becomes like the 9-to-5 job that you don't want to go into.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I'm right fucking there with you. So let's kind of talk about your balance. I know it gives you all this flexibility to do kind of the things that you want with your work. How do you balance your online and work persona and then your in life, like your family stuff? What do you do to kind of navigate and balance your time?
That's a good question. My circle is pretty small. I've got my BFF, my family I'm relatively close to. And then honestly, like my gym family where I do jujitsu, that's kind of my social.
And that's fucking hot as hell, let me tell you. Another factor.
Thank you. I'm not good at it. I mean, the coach jokes around and says I'm his eternal white belt because I'm just fucking like, I'm good at learning most things, but this, but I really started going
it's
because
tough though.
You do. And you mentioned smothering, and I have been smothered. Like I'm there's a lot of people that are bigger and stronger than me. And
Mhm.
a big part of that, I used to cry after every single class. I would go out in my car and just, just like release.
Right.
So it really has helped me with my anxiety and like becoming
Yeah.
comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So I guess the balance is pretty easy because I don't feel time starved anymore.
Right.
My whole life I've felt completely starved for time. So now it's
Yeah.
like I need to be a little more disciplined,
Yeah.
with work, but it's not been too hard.
Good. Well, it's a matter of finding a healthy balance for you too. Like we were talking about, if you don't show up, you don't get paid, right? It's not like a regular job. Like you can go in and kind of like half-ass it and you still get a paycheck
Right.
at the end of the day.
Right.
When it comes to this work, you do have to find a way to kind of commit regularly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that balance is extremely hard. I still have trouble with balance, and I have been in sex work for a long ass time, and I
Mhm.
still have trouble with it.
Mhm.
And I think something that we kind of can identify, that's a commonality between us two, we both have ADHD. And I found that a lot of people that are creators do have ADHD, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that itself is a struggle whenever it comes to making a structure.
Yes.
Do you find that it's harder for you to fit a structure and kind of adhere by it just because your brain is like
It's incredibly hard. I have a spreadsheet that I try to use. I
Mhm.
have a notebook that I try to use. I have a planner. It's like I have all these different systems, but I can't commit to fucking any of them.
Yeah.
So,
Or you're
yeah,
doing this
trying to
like for a
create.
short time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've actually reached out to an ADHD like coaching consultant because I need help. If I
Right.
want to make this sex work career truly sustainable, I need to be able to
Right.
kick it up a notch. And,
Oh yeah.
it's too fucking expensive. So I'm going to try to find something cheaper. But
Right.
like, it's a fucking huge struggle.
Yeah. So one thing that I do that has kind of helped me and kind of made me feel like I need to be consistent is I have an app on my phone that has a calendar on it, and I have certain time slots set aside for certain things. So
Hmm.
I can do whatever in that time slot as long as it pertains to what that time is set aside for. Like, let me pull up my calendar and I'll give you an
Okay.
example. I got to look at it. So
Yeah.
like today I have, of course, the podcast set up, and then I have an hour set aside for filming. It doesn't matter what I film. I just need to film at that time.
I like
So
it.
I'm not restricting myself to be like, I have to do this, because
Mhm.
if I tell my brain I have to do this at this time, it's like, fuck no, I have a million other things I can do.
Yes, exactly. I think that's really smart because I need to edit. Like one thing that I
Mhm.
really need to do, I've completely relied on subscription models, and all my content ends up on fucking wherever getting stolen, ripped off that way.
Yes.
So I'm like, I need to
Yes.
try the clip sites. But motherfuck, to get one thing loaded, it's like you gotta
Yeah.
have your video, you gotta have your fucking teaser, you gotta have your this, that.
And it takes like 50 years.
It's
Like,
fucking forever. And then if I try to do it and I have shitty internet, yeah. So like I think that kind of time boxing, like you said, I got therapy at noon. Do you know what time? Well, we're in different time zones, aren't we?
yes, for me it's 12:37.
Oh fuck. Whoops. Sorry, just dropped my phone. Now we're upside
That's
down.
okay. That's
Um,
okay.
I probably better jump
Yes.
soon.
You
Yeah.
you can get to that. And I mean, we can always have another session some other time.
Dude, this was so fun. I will talk to you anytime.
Fuck yeah. Fuck
And
yeah.
let's definitely fucking talk like off the line, off the whatever, because
Yes. I'm here
like
for it.
I feel you, man.
But I hope your therapy goes amazing. Thank you so much for accompanying us on Forbidden Depths today. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDENDEPTHS. Or over on Twitter at the number 4 BIDDENDPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.